All right, everybody, let's get into it. Ever wonder why people act the way they do? There's a tool called a Functional Behavior Assessment, or FBA, that helps us figure out the why behind behavior. Think of behavior as communication when words fail. Actions speak. Instead of just reacting, an FBA helps us play detective. We look for clues, gather info, and solve the mystery of what someone's behavior is really saying. It's not about judging, it's about understanding and helping people meet their needs in better ways. People do things for a reason. Behavior isn't random. There's always a trigger and a consequence, and the FBA helps us spot both. Once we know the reason, we can make real positive changes. It's about being proactive, kind, and smart. Who wouldn't want that? Why bother being a behavior detective? Imagine your car makes a weird noise. You could ignore it, but the problem gets worse. Trying to stop a behavior without knowing why is just like turning up the radio to drown out that noise. When we understand the reason behind a behavior, we can teach a better way to get the same result. For example, if a child throws toys to escape a tough task, teaching them to ask for a break is a real solution. This approach is more compassionate and builds trust. Instead of constant conflict, you become a team, working together. Figuring out the why leads to interventions that actually work. Support plans based on the function of behavior are more successful. It saves time, energy, and frustration for everyone. It's smarter, kinder, and it works. So, what are the main reasons behind challenging behavior? Most fall into 4 big categories. First, escape. Someone tries to get out of something they dislike, like a student acting out to avoid math. Second, attention. Sometimes any attention, good or bad, is better than none. Third, access to tangibles. This is about getting something specific, like a toy or snack. Fourth, sensory stimulation. The behavior itself feels good or relieves discomfort. Think rocking or humming. These 4 functions, escape, attention, tangibles, and sensory, explain most challenging behaviors. Once you spot the pattern, you can address the real need. It's not about the action itself, but what the person is trying to achieve. Understanding this changes everything. Instead of guessing, you know exactly what to teach or change. That's the power of knowing the function. It's the key to real progress. And it's surprisingly simple once you know what to look for. So, we know that understanding the function of a behavior is crucial. But how do we actually go about figuring out what that function is? It's like trying to solve a puzzle, piecing together clues to understand the underlying reasons behind someone's actions. What steps can we take to unravel the mystery of behavior? Well, there are 3 main ways we can approach this investigation. Each method offers a unique perspective and set of tools to help us understand why a behavior is occurring. First, we have indirect assessment. This involves gathering information from those who know the person best. We interview teachers, parents, and caregivers. These individuals often have valuable insights into the person's behavior across different settings and situations. We also use checklists and rating scales to gather their insights in a more structured way. These tools can help identify patterns and potential triggers for the behavior. Second, there's descriptive assessment. This method involves directly observing the person in their natural environment. We observe the person directly, take detailed notes, and use tools like ABC recording, a systematic way to document what happens before, during, and after the behavior. Antecedent, what happened right before the behavior occurred. Behavior, a clear and objective description of the behavior itself. Consequence, what happened immediately after the behavior. This detailed recording helps you spot patterns and see what triggers and maintains the behavior over time. It allows us to understand the sequence of events surrounding the behavior. Third, we have functional analysis. This is where we set up controlled situations to test your hypothesis about the function of the behavior. We systematically change the environment and see what happens to the behavior. For example, we might give attention only when the behavior occurs, or allow escape from a task, and carefully observe which of these conditions triggers the behavior. By comparing results across these different conditions, we can more confidently confirm the function of the behavior. Each method builds on the last, providing a more comprehensive understanding. We move from initial interviews to direct observation in natural settings, and finally to controlled testing. The more data you have from these different sources, the clearer the picture becomes. Sometimes you only need the first 2 steps, indirect and descriptive assessments, to understand the behavior. Other times, you need to test your theory through functional analysis to be absolutely sure. But the goal is always the same: to find out what's really driving the behavior. what underlying need or function it serves. And once you know that, you can help the person develop more appropriate and effective ways to meet that need. That's detective work with a purpose of understanding and helping others. Let's break down some key FBA terms. Functionally equivalent, teaching a new positive behavior that meets the same need as the challenging one, like asking for a break instead of acting out. Brief functional analysis, quick tests to see what triggers the behavior. Latency-based analysis, measure how fast the behavior starts after a trigger. Trial-based analysis, test in real-life settings like classrooms using short trials. Ayahuasca, interview-informed analysis that combines suspected triggers and rewards into one test. Scatterplot recording, track when behavior happens to find patterns. Conditional probability, how likely a behavior is given a certain trigger or consequence. Contingency reversal, change the consequence to see if the behavior changes. These tools help pinpoint the function and guide your plan. The goal? Replace problem behaviors with positive, effective ones. It's all about clarity and action. And it makes a real difference. So, how does an FBA actually work? It's a 4-step dance. Step 1, clearly define the behavior, be specific and observable. Step 2, gather information, interviews, records, and direct observation. Step 3, analyze the data and form a hypothesis about the function. Step 4, test your hypothesis if needed, then create a behavior intervention plan. The plan should include prevention strategies, teaching a replacement skill, and changing how people respond. Monitor progress and adjust as needed. It's a collaborative process. Everyone works together. The goal is lasting, positive change. When you follow these steps, you set the stage for real success. And that's what it's all about. Let's make this real. Let's bring the concepts we've discussed to life with a story that illustrates the power and practicality of functional behavior assessment. Meet Leo, a bright but easily frustrated third grader. During writing time, when the pressure is on, Leo throws pencils. Not just one, but sometimes a whole handful. The school's behavior analyst, noticing the pattern, decides to start an FBA, a functional behavior assessment, to understand why Leo is engaging in this behavior. Step 1, define the behavior clearly and objectively. In Leo's case, it's pencil throwing. Specifically, the act of propelling a pencil through the air with force. Step 2, gather info from all available sources. Interviews with his teacher reveal it only happens during writing assignments, particularly those that require sustained effort. And direct observations of Leo in the classroom confirm the teacher's insights. The ABC chart, antecedent behavior consequence, shows a clear pattern. A challenging writing task leads to pencil throwing, which in turn leads to a break from the writing task, as Leo is often removed from the situation to calm down. The team formulates a hypothesis. Leo throws pencils to escape or avoid writing, a task he finds difficult and overwhelming. Based on this hypothesis, the team creates a plan, a multifaceted intervention strategy. They decide to give Leo a pencil grip to improve his fine motor skills, teach him how to use a break card to request a timeout when feeling overwhelmed. And, crucially, they change the consequence for pencil throwing. Now, if he throws a pencil, he finishes the assigned work during recess, removing the escape function. Conversely, if he uses the break card appropriately, he receives immediate praise and positive attention. Within just 2 weeks of implementing the plan, the pencil-throwing behavior dramatically decreases and eventually stops altogether. Leo learns to use his break card effectively, communicating his needs and receiving support in a positive and constructive way. The primary function of the behavior was escape from a demanding task. And the solution wasn't punishment, but teaching Leo a better, more acceptable way to ask for a break and manage his frustration. This success story perfectly illustrates the power of FBA in action, transforming challenging behaviors into opportunities for growth and learning. Success! Now, let's talk about Maya. She's a sweet little girl with a world of potential, just like all the children in her class. But sometimes, the classroom environment can be a bit overwhelming for her. Maya is a quiet preschooler who often seeks refuge by hiding under her table. It became her go-to strategy when she felt overwhelmed or anxious. This behavior, while seemingly simple, raised some concerns among her teachers. Teachers worry she's missing out on valuable learning experiences and social interactions with her peers. They noticed she was isolating herself during key activities and playtime. So, with Maya's well-being in mind, they decide to start a functional behavior assessment, or FBA, to better understand the reasons behind her behavior. Step 1. Define the behavior. What exactly are we trying to address? In Maya's case, it's crawling under the table and remaining there for more than 3 seconds. This clear definition allows for consistent observation and data collection. Step 2. Gather information, collecting data to understand when and why this behavior occurs. Through careful observation, teachers say it happens most often when the room is noisy and chaotic, during times of unstructured play or group activities. And they usually give her one-on-one attention and comfort when she emerges from under the table, reinforcing the behavior unintentionally. Observations show the behavior spikes significantly during loud, unstructured times, confirming the teacher's initial impressions. Hypothesis: Maya hides to escape the overwhelming noise and perhaps to get soothing attention from her teachers. A brief functional analysis, where they test their hypothesis, confirms it. The data clearly points to escape from noise and seeking attention as the driving forces behind Maya's behavior. The team collaborates and creates a cozy corner in the classroom, complete with soft seating and headphones to block out the noise. And they teach Maya how to recognize when she's feeling overwhelmed and to use the cozy corner as a safe space when things get too loud. They also make a conscious effort to give her positive attention and praise when she's actively participating with the group, reinforcing her engagement in classroom activities. Over time, Maya learns to use her cozy corner as a proactive strategy for managing her sensory input and emotional state. And gradually, the hiding behavior fades away as Maya develops healthier coping mechanisms. The underlying function of the behavior was escape from noise and a desire for attention, both of which were being met in less than ideal ways. And the solution was providing a safe space for managing sensory overload and ensuring she received plenty of positive interaction and encouragement. Through the FBA process, everyone involved gained a deeper understanding of Maya's needs and how to best support her in the classroom environment. That's real change driven by understanding and compassion. So there you have it. FBA isn't complicated, it's compassionate. It's about listening to what behavior is telling us and responding with understanding. All behavior is communication, and FBA helps us translate it. By focusing on the why, we move from punishment to teaching and support. This empowers everyone, students, teachers, and parents. FBA gives us a clear path to real solutions, not just guesses. We build skills, empathy, and success. In the end, FBA makes us better helpers and kinder people. It's about seeing the person, not just the behavior, and that's something worth celebrating. And that wraps up our dive into functional behavior assessment. Whether you're prepping for the BCBA exam or just trying to make sense of why behaviors happen, understanding the function is your foundation. Keep asking questions, keep observing, and remember, behavior always tells a story. If this helped clarify things for you, give it a like, share it with your study group, and hit subscribe so you never miss another ChapterCast breakdown. See you in the next one.